They threw her a party so big the whole family showed up. Music, decorations, catered food, even a giant banner with her name on it. I found out about it the same way everyone else did. A photo, posted online. Family only, the caption said. I stared at the picture, zooming in, counting faces. Aunts, uncles, cousins, even people I hadn't seen in years. Everyone was there. Except me. No call, no message, not even a "we forgot." Just erased. I showed up anyway. Walked in uninvited, heart pounding, trying to figure out how I had become a stranger in my own family. And that's when my grandmother grabbed my hand, pulled me aside, and whispered something that made my entire world stop. Because this wasn't an accident. It never was. And what she told me next explained everything.
My name is Mia, and for 23 years, I believed I knew exactly who I was. I was wrong. Let me take you back to the beginning, because if I don't tell you where I came from, you won't understand how hard I fell, and you definitely won't understand what I did next. I grew up in a big white house on Maple Street, the kind of house with a porch swing and flower boxes in the windows, the kind of house that looks like happiness lives there. For a while, I thought it did. My parents, David and Karen, were the picture of success. My dad ran a real estate company. My mom was a former teacher who stayed home to raise me and my younger sister, Chloe. Chloe was 2 years younger than me, blonde hair, blue eyes, a smile that made grown adults melt. She was the kind of kid who could walk into a room and everyone would just stop, look at her, smile at her. I was the opposite. Brown hair, brown eyes, quiet, kept to myself, read books in my room while Chloe performed dance routines in the living room. And my parents, they loved her performances. They filmed every single one, shared them with relatives, bragged about how talented she was. Me? I was the one who got good grades, who cleaned the kitchen without being asked, who stayed up late helping my mom organize her recipe box because she said she was too tired to do it herself. I never complained, because I thought that's what family did. You helped, you showed up, you earned your place. I didn't realize then that I was the only one trying to earn anything.
Family background. Let me give you some history. My parents weren't always like this. Or maybe they were, and I just didn't see it. When I was little, things felt different. I remember my mom reading me bedtime stories, my dad carrying me on his shoulders through the county fair, birthday parties with balloons and homemade cake. But somewhere along the way, something shifted. I think it started when Chloe was born. I was 2 years old when she came home from the hospital, too young to understand what was happening. But my grandmother, my dad's mom, Grandma Sarah, she told me later that something changed in my parents the moment Chloe took her first breath. It wasn't that they loved you less, Grandma Sarah said. It was that they couldn't love anyone more than they loved her. I didn't understand that then. I do now. Chloe was special. That's what everyone said. She had this energy, this light. She could charm anyone, teachers, neighbors, complete strangers at the grocery store. And my parents ate it up. They signed her up for dance classes, then singing lessons, then acting workshops. They spent thousands of dollars on her hobbies, while I wore hand-me-downs from my cousin. But here's the thing. I didn't care about the money. I cared about the attention. Because when Chloe performed in her first recital, my parents sat in the front row, cameras ready, tears in their eyes. When I won the science fair 2 weeks later, my mom sent a text message congratulating me. My dad forgot to show up. I was 11 years old when I realized that being good wasn't enough. Being smart wasn't enough. Being helpful wasn't enough. Because in my parents' eyes, I wasn't Chloe. And that was all that mattered. First betrayal signs. The first time I remember feeling truly invisible was my 15th birthday. My parents had been promising me a party for weeks. Nothing huge, they said. Just family, maybe a few friends, a cake, some presents. I was excited, not because I needed a big celebration,
but because they had remembered. They had planned something for me. The day came. I woke up early, heart racing, waiting for them to say something. Nothing. I got dressed, went downstairs, ate breakfast. Still nothing. Around noon, I finally asked my mom what time the party was. She looked at me blankly. "What party?" "My birthday party," I said. "The one you said you were planning." She blinked. Then she laughed, actually laughed, and said, "Oh, honey, I was joking about that. We're too busy with Chloe's competition next week. You understand, right?" I understood. I understood that my birthday wasn't a priority, that I wasn't a priority. That night, I sat in my room eating a cupcake I bought myself from the grocery store. I blew out the candle and made a wish. I wished to matter, but wishes don't mean much when nobody's listening. Over the next few years, the pattern became clear. Chloe's achievements were celebrated. Mine were acknowledged with a quick, "That's nice," before the conversation returned to Chloe. Chloe got a car for her 16th birthday. I got a bus pass. Chloe's room was redecorated twice. My walls still had the same chipped paint from when I was 10. Chloe went on a senior trip to Florida. I stayed home and watched the neighbor's dog. And through all of it, I told myself it was fine. I told myself they loved me the same. They just showed it differently. I told myself I was being dramatic, selfish, jealous. I told myself every lie I could think of because the truth was too painful to face. The truth was, my parents had a favorite child, and it wasn't me. Conflict gets worse. A real breaking point came when I was 20 years old. I had just finished my second year of college. I was studying nursing, working part-time at a coffee shop, paying my own rent. I wasn't rich, but I was making it work. Chloe, meanwhile, had dropped out of community college after one semester. She was finding herself, which apparently meant living in my parents' basement and posting Instagram photos of her influencer lifestyle. My parents didn't mind. They were happy to support her, happy to pay for her shopping trips, her dinners out, her business expenses that mostly seemed to be new outfits and spa days. I tried not to be bitter. I really did. But then my mom called me one night and asked if I could send them some money, just a little, to help with Chloe's brand development. I laughed. I actually laughed. "Mom," I said, "I work 30 hours a week while going to school full-time. I can barely afford my own groceries." She got quiet. Then she said, "Mia, you've always been so independent. We just thought you wouldn't mind helping your sister." I did mind. But I sent the money anyway. Because that's what I did. I gave, and gave, and gave. And nobody ever gave back. The next year, Chloe announced she was pregnant. My parents were overjoyed. They threw a gender reveal party, pink milk, custom cupcakes, the whole thing. They started converting the guest room into a nursery. I got a text message a week after the party. "We missed you." It said I hadn't been invited. When my niece Lily was born, my parents became full-time grandparents. They babysat constantly, bought expensive strollers and cribs and toys, posted daily photos of Chloe and the baby on social media. Proud grandparents. The captions always said. I visited when I could, brought gifts, held the baby, smiled for pictures. But I noticed something strange. Every time I came over, my mom would find a reason to take the baby from me. She needs to eat. She needs a nap. She's getting fussy. She never did that when Chloe held her. And when my dad looked at me holding Lily, his eyes had this distance, this coldness that I couldn't explain. I asked my mom about it once, just casually. "Does Dad seem different to you lately?" She waved her hand. "He's just tired. Work is stressful." But I knew better. Something was wrong, and I was about to find out exactly what. Major reveal. Let me take you back to that party, Chloe's 21st birthday. My parents went all out. I mean all out. They rented a venue, not their house, an actual event space downtown. They hired a DJ, a photographer, a catering company. The invitation, which I never received,
apparently said formal attire required. I found out about the party from my cousin Rachel. She posted a photo on Instagram of her dress. "So ready for Chloe's party tonight," the caption said. I stared at the screen. Party? What party? I texted Rachel. What party?
She replied, "Chloe's birthday? Your parents are throwing it? You didn't know?" I scrolled through social media. More posts started appearing. People getting ready, people in the car, people arriving. And then I saw it. The photo my mom posted. A picture of the venue, the decorations, the giant banner that read, "Happy 21st birthday, Chloe, our queen." And the caption, "Family only, so blessed, heart." Family only. I zoomed in on the photo. There were at least 40 people in that room. Aunts, uncles, cousins, second cousins, family friends, people I hadn't seen since I was a child. No one had called me. No one had texted me. No one had even mentioned the party. I was 23 years old. I had never missed a family event in my life. I showed up for every birthday, every holiday, every emergency. I was the one who brought casseroles when someone was sick, who drove Grandma Sarah to her doctor's appointments, who stayed up all night with my mom when she had the flu. And they threw a party for my sister without even telling me it was happening. I sat on my couch for an hour, just staring at the ceiling. Part of me wanted to cry. Part of me wanted to scream. But mostly, I wanted answers. So I got in my car and drove. The venue was 30 minutes away. I spent the whole drive trying to figure out what I would say. Hey, why wasn't I invited? Did I do something wrong? Are you all secretly mad at me? Nothing sounded right. Nothing captured the ache in my chest. When I pulled into the parking lot, I could hear the music from outside. Bass thumping, people laughing, the sound of celebration. I walked to the entrance. A clipboard sat on a small table by the door. Guest list. I looked at the names. Chloe +1. Mom and Dad. Grandma Sarah. Aunt Lisa. Uncle Mark. Cousin Rachel. So many names. Mine wasn't there. I took a breath and walked in anyway. The moment I stepped inside, the music didn't stop, but the energy shifted. People turned, stared, whispered. My mom saw me first. Her face went pale, then red, then something I couldn't read. "Mia," she said. "What are you doing here?"
"I heard there was a party," I said. My dad appeared beside her. "This is a private event." "For family," my mom added quickly, "just close family." "I am close family," I said. "I'm your daughter." The room got very quiet. And then my grandmother, my dad's mother, Grandma Sarah, came shuffling toward me. She was 78 years old, slow on her feet, but her eyes were sharp as knives. She grabbed my hand, held it tight. "Come with me," she whispered. She pulled me through the crowd, past the staring faces, past the banner with my sister's name, past the cake that said Chloe, in gold letters. She pulled me into a small side room, a coat closet actually. She closed the door behind us. The music was muffled now. All I could hear was her breathing, heavy and slow. "Sit down," she said. There was no chair, just a stack of boxes. I sat. "Mia," Grandma Sarah said, her voice shaking. "I need to tell you something, and you need to listen, because I've been keeping this secret for 23 years, and I can't do it anymore." "What secret?" I asked. She took my hands in hers. Her skin was thin and papery, warm. "This party," she said. "You weren't invited, because your parents never wanted you to come. I figured that part out.
No, she said. I mean, they never wanted you. Not ever. Not from the beginning. I froze. What are you talking about? Grandma Sarah closed her eyes. When she opened them, they were wet. Mia, you're adopted. The words didn't make sense at first. They floated in the air between us, weird and foreign. No, I said. That's not funny. I'm not joking. My parents, David and Karen, they're my parents. They're your adoptive parents, Grandma Sarah said, but they're not your biological parents. And honey, there's more. More than what? She squeezed my hands tighter. Your biological mother was my daughter. Your biological father was someone she met in college. They were young, scared. They couldn't keep you. So David and Karen agreed to adopt you. They said they wanted a baby. But they had Chloe 2 years later. Yes, Grandma Sarah said. And from the moment Chloe was born, something changed. They stopped treating you like their daughter. They started treating you like what? She didn't say it. She didn't have to. Like a guest. Like a burden. Like someone they were stuck with. Why didn't anyone tell me? I whispered.
Your parents swore me to secrecy. They said they would tell you when you were older, but they never did. And now I know why. Why? Grandma Sarah looked at the door, lowered her voice. Because your biological mother left you something, a trust fund, from her parents, your biological grandparents. When she passed away, the money was supposed to go to you on your 25th birthday. How much money? Enough, Grandma Sarah said. Enough to buy that house on Maple Street 3 times over. The room spun. Are you saying? I'm saying your parents have been keeping you at a distance on purpose, making you feel like you don't belong, so that when they told you the truth, if they ever told you, you'd be so grateful for their charity that you'd give them the money. No, I said, that's insane. Is it? Grandma Sarah asked. Then why didn't they invite you to this party? Why have they spent 23 years making you feel like an outsider? Why did they tell me last week that they were worried about Chloe's financial future and that they hoped something would work out soon? I thought about all the signs, all the little moments I had dismissed. The way my mom looked at Chloe versus the way she looked at me. The way my dad never seemed proud of anything I did. The way they asked me for money even when I had nothing to give. The way they had built a life around Chloe and left me standing on the outside, always watching, never included. It wasn't carelessness. It wasn't favoritism. It was a plan. I don't remember leaving the coat closet. I don't remember walking back through the party. But I remember the cold air hitting my face when I got outside. I remember standing in the parking lot, gasping like I had just surfaced from deep water. Everything I thought I knew was gone. My parents weren't my parents. My sister wasn't really my sister. My whole life was a lie. I got in my car and drove. I don't know where. I just drove. Ended up at a park on the edge of town, the one where we used to have picnics when Chloe and I were little. I sat on a bench and finally let myself feel it. The anger, the hurt, the betrayal. 23 years of wondering why I wasn't good enough. 23 years of trying harder, doing more, being better. 23 years of hoping they would finally see me. And they never did, because they never wanted to. I was never their daughter. I was a paycheck, an investment, a means to an end. And the worst part, the absolute worst part, they had convinced me that I was the problem, that I was too quiet, too boring, too ordinary, that if I just tried a little harder, smiled a little more, achieved a little more, they would love me the way they loved Chloe. But there was nothing I could have done, nothing I could have changed, because their love was never mine to earn. It was never mine at all. I cried until I couldn't cry anymore. until my eyes were swollen and my throat was raw, until the sun went down and the park lights flickered on. And then something shifted. I wiped my face, took a breath, sat up straight, because I realized something in that moment. My parents thought they had me figured out. They thought I would crumble. They thought I would beg for their love, accept their scraps, and hand over my inheritance when the time came. They thought I was weak.
But I wasn't. I had spent 23 years surviving their neglect, their indifference, their quiet cruelty, and I was still standing. So I made a decision. I wasn't going to cry anymore. I was going to fight. Revenge plan. The first thing I did was go home and call Grandma Sarah. She answered on the first ring. "Mia, are you okay?" "No," I said, "but I will be. Grandma, I need you to tell me everything, every detail. Don't leave anything out." She hesitated. "Are you sure? Some of this is painful." "I've been in pain for 23 years, I said. "I can handle a little more." So she told me. She told me that my biological mother, her daughter, my aunt, was named Emily. Emily was 20 years old when she got pregnant. The father was a boy from her college, someone who disappeared the moment he heard the news. Emily wanted to keep me. She did. But she was young and scared, and her parents, my biological grandparents, had passed away years before. She had nowhere to go, no one to help. So my parents, David and Karen, stepped in. They said they would adopt me, give me a good home, raise me as their own. Emily agreed. It broke her heart, but she agreed. She died 2 years later. Car accident. She never got to see me grow up. But before she died, she set up a trust fund, money from my biological grandparents' estate. It was supposed to be released to me when I turned 25. My parents knew about the trust fund from the beginning. They knew how much money was in it, and they knew that if they raised me as their own, they could control it. But then Chloe was born, and something changed. Maybe they resented me. Maybe they saw me as a reminder of Emily. Maybe they just loved Chloe more and didn't have room for anyone else. Whatever the reason, they started pulling away, little by little, year by year. And somewhere along the way, they started thinking about the money. "What if she doesn't give it to us?" my mom had asked my dad once, according to Grandma Sarah. "What if she takes it and leaves?" "She won't," my dad said. "She's desperate for our love. She'll do anything to keep us." They were counting on my desperation. They were counting on my need for family. They were wrong.
"Grandma," I said, "do you have any proof? Any documents? Anything that shows the adoption or the trust fund?" She was quiet for a moment. Then, "I have the original adoption papers. Your mother, Emily, gave them to me before she died. She said to give them to you when you were ready. I'm ready now. I also have letters from Emily. She wrote them for you, for when you were old enough to understand." My heart cracked open. "She never forgot you, Mia," Grandma Sarah said softly. "She loved you. She wanted you. She just couldn't keep you." I wiped my eyes. "I'll come over tomorrow," I said. "And Grandma, thank you for telling me the truth. I should have told you sooner. I'm sorry. You are the only one who doesn't need to apologize." The next morning, I drove to Grandma Sarah's house. She lived in a small cottage on the edge of town, the same house where my father grew up. The yard was overgrown. The paint was peeling. But inside, it smelled like cinnamon and old books. Grandma Sarah handed me a box. A shoebox, worn at the corners, held together with rubber bands. "I've been keeping this for 23 years, she said. I opened it. Inside were papers, old, yellowed, typed on a machine that didn't exist anymore. The adoption papers, my original birth certificate, Emily's name listed as mother. I ran my fingers over the letters. Emily Rose Bennett. That was my mother. And then I saw the letters, dozens of them, all addressed to me in Emily's handwriting. The first one was dated the week I was born. "Dear Mia," it said,
You are the best thing I ever did. I'm sorry I can't be the mother you deserve, but I will always love you. Always. Mom. I set the letter down carefully, like it was made of glass, because in a way, it was. This was all I had left of my real mother. Words on paper. Love that never got to be lived. But it was enough. It was more than my adoptive parents had ever given me. Secret evidence. I spent the next week gathering information. Grandma Sarah gave me everything she had. Documents, photos, even a recording of a conversation she had secretly made years ago, where my parents talked about the trust fund. "Do you think she suspects anything?" my mom's voice said on the recording. "Doesn't matter if she does," my dad replied. "She has nowhere else to go, no one else to turn to. We're all she has."
We should tell her about Emily soon, before the money comes. Not yet. Let her keep hoping. It makes her easier to manage. I listened to that recording 17 times. Each time, the anger grew hotter, sharper. But I didn't let it consume me. I used it. I hired a lawyer, a real shark, the kind who didn't smile and didn't make small talk. I gave her everything: the adoption papers, the trust fund documents, the recording. "Can we prove they knew about the money from the beginning?" she asked. "Yes," I said. "Grandma Sarah has emails and bank records. They've been planning this for years." The lawyer nodded. "Then we have a case. But Mia, are you sure you want to do this? Once we go down this road, there's no going back. Your relationship with your family will be over." I laughed. A bitter, broken sound. What relationship? 2 weeks later, I filed a lawsuit. Not for the money, although that would come, but for fraud, emotional distress, breach of fiduciary duty. My parents had been named trustees of my trust fund. They had a legal obligation to act in my best interest. Instead, they had spent years manipulating me, isolating me, and preparing to steal my inheritance. I had the evidence. I had the witnesses.
And I had nothing left to lose. Public exposure. I didn't tell my parents about the lawsuit. I let them find out the same way I found out about Chloe's party, through social media. A local news station picked up the story. Woman sues adoptive parents over alleged trust fund scheme. The headline went viral in our small town. Comments poured in. "That's horrible. Those parents should be ashamed." I know this family. The daughter they're suing is the one who always helped everyone. The other one is spoiled rotten. Adoption is sacred. Using a child for money is evil. My phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Texts from relatives, calls from old friends, messages from strangers. And then, the call I'd been waiting for. My mom. "Mia, what have you done?" She was screaming, actually screaming. "How dare you? How dare you?" "I'm just telling the truth, Mom. We raised you. We gave you everything. And this is how you repay us?" I stayed calm. "You gave me nothing. You ignored me. You neglected me. You planned to steal from me. That's not raising a child. That's running a long con." "We are your parents." "No," I said. "You're not. My mother was Emily Bennett. She died before I could know her, and you used her death for money." Silence. "You knew about the trust fund before you adopted me," I continued. "You agreed to raise me as your own, and then you spent 23 years making sure I never felt like I belonged, so I would be desperate enough to give you anything." "We never." "I have the recording. I have the emails. I have Grandma Sarah." Another silence. Longer this time. Then my mom whispered, "How could you do this to your family?" "Funny," I said. "I was about to ask you the same thing." I hung up.
The lawsuit went public the next week. My parents tried to fight it. They hired a lawyer. They gave interviews to local news stations, crying about how ungrateful I was, how they had opened their home to me, how I was tearing the family apart. Some people believed them, but most didn't, because the evidence was overwhelming. The adoption papers, the trust fund documents, the recording, the emails where my mom called me the investment, and my dad said they needed to keep her close until the money comes through. It was all there, in black and white, and slowly, painfully, the truth came out. Chloe called me the night before the court hearing. She was crying. "Mia," she said, "I didn't know. I swear I didn't know." "It's okay," I said. "You're not responsible for them." "But the party, I asked them why you weren't there. They said you were busy. They said you didn't want to come." "I know." I believed them. I believed everything they told me. "That's not your fault." She was quiet for a long time. Then she said, "You're still my sister. Even if we're not blood, you're still my sister." I wanted to believe her. I really did. But trust is a fragile thing, and my parents had broken mine beyond repair. Final justice. The court hearing was held on a Tuesday. I walked into the courtroom wearing a simple black dress. No jewelry, no makeup, just me. My parents sat on the other side of the room, surrounded by their lawyer. They looked older, smaller. My mom kept dabbing her eyes with a tissue.
Chloe sat in the back row, alone. Grandma Sarah sat next to me. She held my hand under the table. The judge called the case. My lawyer presented the evidence, calmly, clearly, brutally. And then it was my turn to speak. I stood up, walked to the witness stand, sat down. The judge looked at me. "Ms. Bennett, would you like to make a statement?" I took a breath. "Your Honor, I'm not here for revenge. I'm not here for money. I'm here because for 23 years I was told I wasn't enough. Not smart enough. Not pretty enough. Not worthy enough. And I believed it. I believed it because the people who were supposed to love me made sure I believed it." My voice cracked. I studied myself. They adopted me when I was a baby. They promised to love me, to protect me, to be my family. But from the moment their biological daughter was born, they stopped being my parents. They became my keepers. People who fed me and clothed me and made sure I knew, every single day, that I didn't really belong. I looked at my parents. My mom wouldn't meet my eyes. They kept my adoption a secret. They kept my inheritance a secret. They kept my biological mother a secret. And when they ran out of secrets, they kept me at a distance, so I would never feel secure, so I would always be desperate for their approval, so I would hand over everything I had just to feel like I mattered. I turned back to the judge. "I'm not asking for punishment. I'm asking for the truth. I'm asking for the record to show what they did, and I'm asking for what's mine, not out of greed, but because my real mother left it for me, because she loved me, and because I deserve to have something that was never taken away." The courtroom was silent. My lawyer rested our case. The judge took 3 days to deliberate. On Friday morning, the verdict came. The judge ruled in my favor: full control of the trust fund, compensatory damages for emotional distress, legal fees paid by my parents, and a public statement acknowledging that David and Karen had knowingly and intentionally manipulated me for financial gain. I didn't smile when I heard the verdict. I didn't cry. I just sat there, holding Grandma Sarah's hand, feeling something I hadn't felt in a long time. Peace.
Resolution. The aftermath was messy. My parents tried to appeal. They lost. They tried to sue Grandma Sarah for interfering with their family. They lost that too. In the end, they had nothing left. Their reputation was destroyed. Their relationships with extended family were shattered. Even Chloe moved out 6 months later, unable to look at them the same way. My dad lost clients. My mom stopped leaving the house. The big white house on Maple Street went into foreclosure. I didn't feel good about any of it, but I didn't feel bad either. I felt what I should have felt all along. Nothing. Because they weren't my family. They never were. I used some of the trust fund money to travel. I went to the town where Emily grew up. I visited her grave, left flowers, sat in the grass and talked to her the way I never got to talk when I was alive. "I made it, Mom," I said. "I'm okay." I don't know if she heard me, but I like to think she did. I kept in touch with Grandma Sarah. She came to visit me in my new apartment, the one I bought with the rest of the trust fund. Small, simple, mine. "You look happy," she said. "I am," I said. "For the first time, I really am."
Chloe and I still talk, sometimes. It's complicated. She's trying to unlearn the same lies I lived with, the ones about her being special and me being invisible. "Therapy helps," she told me once. "Maybe you should try it," I said. We laughed. It felt good. We're not close. Not yet. But we're trying. And for now, that's enough. Moral ending. If there's one thing I learned from all of this, it's that family isn't about blood. Family isn't about who raised you or who shares your last name. Family is about who shows up, who tells you the truth, who holds your hand in the dark and whispers, "You matter." My parents never did that. Grandma Sarah did. Emily did, in the only way she could. And now, I do it for myself.
I think about that party sometimes. The one I wasn't invited to. The banner with Chloe's name, the crowd of people who didn't notice I was missing. I used to feel pain when I thought about it. Now I just feel distance. Because that world, the world of my childhood, of my parents' lies, of secrets and manipulation, that world doesn't exist anymore. I walked away from it, and I didn't look back. Here's what I want you to take from this story. If you're out there, right now, feeling invisible, feeling like you're not enough, feeling like you have to earn the love of the people who should give it freely, stop. Stop trying. Stop hoping. Stop shrinking yourself to fit into spaces that were never meant for you. Because the truth is, you don't need to be chosen by people who refused to see you. You need to choose yourself. Walk away. Build something new. Find your own family, the one made of people who see you, really see you, and stay anyway. It won't be easy. It will hurt. You'll lose people you thought you couldn't live without. But on the other side of that pain, there's freedom. There's peace. There's a version of you that doesn't need anyone's permission to exist. I found mine, and you can find yours too. My name is Mia, and for the first time in 23 years, I am home.